Hello. This is a good one. We got a good one for you today. Welcome to Usually Wrong, episode number 47. This is with Derek Minto, and I'm very excited, and this is a great episode. I'm pumped. But before we get to that, I want to tell you about a show that I am putting on in Youngstown on February 16th. It's at the Youngstown Saxon Club. Tickets are $10. It's going to be a great time. It's about an hour drive from Pittsburgh, but for those of you in Youngstown or around the Ohio area, I know we have a couple listeners in Niles. I know because people tell me, and they tell me how much they like the show via Facebook, which is very nice of you, like one person. So if you're in the Ohio area or if you want to make the drive, it's going to be a great time. Facebook event will be up later. I'll be able to announce guests later in the month, so stay tuned for that. It'll be a great time. This episode of the show is Derek Minto, and I'm very excited. Derek is one of the staples of the Pittsburgh comedy community. He is the host of the Thursday night open mic over at the Burning Bridges Comedy Club. You might know it as Hambones right now. It's great. It's the best open mic in town. I've heard people say, and I agree with it, if you're not at the Thursday open mic week after week, it's like, why are you doing comedy? Speaking of, I need to get there more. But this is Derek Minto. He hosts it. It's a great episode. He is a great comic. If you don't know him, you should absolutely go see him in shows. I've had the pleasure of working with him on a number of shows, and he's great. Always kills. It feels like he is one of the most comfortable people on the stage that I personally know. And he's extremely kind, and he's been extremely welcoming to me over the last 2 years of me doing comedy. He put me on my first show when it was just Hambones back in October of 2017. So I'll love him forever for that. So I'm excited for you to hear this. This is Usually Wrong. Enjoy it. Episode number 47 with Derek Minto.
When we finally got down to something which the individual says he really wants to do, I will say to him, you do that and forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You will be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living. That is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
What the hell is a thing? I like the little chitter chatter.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, whatever.
Hey, if you could hold the microphone like right here too, that's like the best.
You might want to check your levels on me. I'm very loud.
This is, well, you're yellow, which I've been told by the industry is where you need to be.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Did they say it just like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
By professional people.
Who is the industry? Dave Bracey? Buzzy from Epicast came down and was like, hey, you want to be in the yell?
Is Tyler Vittmeyer. He's like, you want to be in the yellow.
Oh, okay.
I used to wear headphones for this, but I don't like
They're called
headphones
cans,
as much.
first of all. If we're using industry terms, let's do industry terms. You know?
I've not laughed as hard as when you sent me. I haven't laughed by myself really hard in a long time. But when you sent me that Onion article, I'm standing outside, like genuinely laughing out loud.
I identify. Well, first of all, it was funny to me, and then it was just we're literally having this conversation. I'm sitting there in fucking traffic, just bored out of my mind. And that like comes up. I'm like, well, this algorithm's working for fine today, you know. That it reminded me of like all my podcasting experience.
Did you do podcasts?
Oh yeah.
Did you?
See, I was like
what?
the dude for a while.
Really?
When podcasts, I really don't. I hate ever like accrediting myself to anything.
Why?
I don't. I don't know. I feel it's. I don't like tooting my own horn. I don't like it. But
Understand.
But I was like the first person in the comedy scene to have a podcast.
Really?
Because me and my friend James were like the only people who were like interested in them at the time.
When they were cool too.
This was even before they were cool. This was like, what the fuck? What do you mean it's a radio show?
Well,
on the
it was
internet?
cool to do them.
Yeah.
Now it's not. Like I understand I'm in a medium that everybody has, and like I plead with people to rate the show. And
Yeah.
like I'll even ask guests to rate the show. I have 46 you're 47. I have 23 ratings for this show. Like I can't
Yeah, they're
get
not
people
gonna do
to
it.
rate. They're not gonna do it. Why would they?
Yeah.
Why would they take the time?
I got really lucky. Like there were like 8 podcasts in Pittsburgh at the time.
Okay.
And like I
No,
was
there's
the
100.
comedy podcast.
Oh, really?
So I got I got a really decent listenership for a while. And I did probably about 120 episodes.
Of what? What was the show?
The show was called Haters for Hire.
I've never.
Yeah, well,
I typically hear
it's
of
not,
people
it's
like-
not online anymore.
Okay.
It's the only place it exists is on my website. Like,
Okay.
and the thing that's even worse is the only episodes I have archived aren't that good. Like, they're interesting. Some of them, like,
Yeah.
there's some really interesting old interviews I have in there, and like I interviewed like the first podcast literally Ed Bailey ever did. I recorded with
Really?
him. Like, and like I have Kleiber and just a bunch of like the older comics like from the scene. But like,
Yeah.
that was the thing is there was no because the scene was like growing at the time. I interviewed everyone.
Yeah. Are you one of those people who doesn't like to do things whenever they're cool to? Because everybody listens to podcasts now. It's kind of the only way that I get information. Are you one of those people who like doesn't like to do things once they become mainstream?
No, I don't
No.
care. I just
You'll
like
get
this is the thing. I had a broadcast journalism degree. This was the closest I ever came to using it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it was just like, oh, this is great. Like this is what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And the idea I always thought about the podcast, I was like, well, if you do my podcast, it'll help you get better at like doing interviews.
Well, true.
I figured it was just it'd benefit people.
Yeah.
And I never figured that podcast would be like, this is gonna be my moneymaker. Like, oh, this is gonna become
Sure.
the new Adam Carolla podcast. That was popular back in the day. Not so much anymore.
Did you go into it thinking it's going to help me out in the comedy scene? Because that's how I kind of started this. Like, kind of selfishly, I was like, I want people to know who I am. I want to be kind of a part of the scene, and what better way to do that than bring all these people on and get to know them that way?
I kind of. I mean, I thought it was something fun to do. And also, I mean, it was kind of a different way of giving I always think, I guess I saw it as like an opportunity for other people too. Like,
Okay, yeah.
And so
That's selfless.
Let me put a little
Okay.
asterisk at the end of that.
Okay.
That being said, like, the way you build value for yourself is one of the best ways is you give value to other people.
Sure, yes.
Like, you provide a social currency, right?
Yes.
Same thing works with stand-up. Like, if you produce shows, you put people on shows. In turn, it will help you.
It
get on
will
other
help you,
It will
right.
help you get on other shows. Sometimes you will get on shows that you should not be on, but especially early on, even
Sure.
if you suck. But that's one way to do it. It's how you lubricate things. Like you lubricate the machine of comedy.
Yeah.
And also, I honestly I wanted to hear what everyone else had to say at the time.
yeah.
Like, I was really curious. Like, it was weird for me when I first started doing comedy stuff. I kind of freaked out and had like an existential crisis
Why?
of character. Because this is the thing. When I started doing comedy, I did like, by the time I was in high school, I was like the funny person.
Okay.
Like, there was like one other person, he was kind of funny, and he was a douchebag.
Amongst the whole class or like your
Amongst the
friends?
whole school.
Okay, yeah.
Like, even like the school, I was like pretty, like,
You were the guy.
yeah, I was the guy. And in college, like, there were a couple of funny people, but I was still the guy. But when I started doing stand-up, I'm like, oh my God, there's other funny people.
Oh my- yeah.
And they're better at this than me
Isn't
by
that
a
funny?
lot. But
Yeah.
I had like a crisis. Like, I'm like, who am I? What am I define myself by? If they're this funny and I'm that funny, that means I'm nothing.
Same exact thing. I talk about it all the time on this, even like it amongst my friend group growing up. Like, all of my friends were very smart, very intelligent people, and I was the funny guy within that group. And then you step into the comedy scene, it's like, oh, these people are so much better than I am because they've had time to hone a craft, right? They've been
Yeah.
able to take time and actually learn how to tell jokes and make an imprint on the scene.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I freaked out. Like, first 6 months, I was like, I should quit. Like,
that true?
I came very close to quitting.
Really?
I was super
Oh,
close.
that's
like,
fun to talk about, though.
it was awful. Like, I didn't like. I was like, all the mics in the city the scene was awful. That was also part
I've
of
heard
it.
it wasn't that great. You started like 4 or 5 years ago? Longer,
Oh,
8
yeah,
or 9.
well,
Yeah, I knew. Yeah.
Like back in the
You started
this is
hosting
the thing,
the mic
comedy
5
bubble.
years ago.
This is the thing. Like the comedy bubble popped. The Funny Bones shut down in the first year.
Yes.
And there were like no open mics. And the thing was, is that the way this was the Pittsburgh model at the time, which was you do comedy here for about 2 years and then you leave.
Interesting.
If you were serious,
Right.
everyone did it. Like I watched like huge swaths of comics. I'll go to New York. I'll go to L.A.
Wow.
I'll go here and there. Because there was no once you got to a certain point here, there was nothing.
Okay. Well, what was even around? I mean, Ham Bones wasn't a thing.
There was no Ham Bones. There were 2 mics at the time. There was one at the Smiling Moose.
Right.
And then there was another one that used to be at a place called St. James. And then there was
I've
the
heard
club
of that
mics.
too,
And the
yeah.
club mics were usually bringers.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they'd let you on if you didn't bring people. But they like the Funny Bone one was actually decent, but the improv one's always kind of been a big bag of dog shit.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
it's just this is the thing. It's the problem with part of the worth of an open mic, especially when you're first starting out that first year, is seeing other people.
Sure.
Like,
yes.
And like you get to observe. Like, and I always try to tell you, like, it's fine not to sit in there the whole time. I sit in there during
You
my
sit
mic,
a lot,
and
yeah.
I want to die. Not because it's always awful, but just because like sometimes
You can't hear
it's
the
a
same
lot.
jokes over and over
Yeah.
again, too.
Well, yeah, it just drives you crazy. I have to tune out.
Yes.
But like I try to listen as much as I can, but at a certain point, it's just my head will explode.
Yeah.
But so there was no real going to the improv was just there was no point. Occasionally you'd see one good comic, and then everyone else it would be like, all right, at the end of the night, let's go get a picture right in front of the improv sign.
That's part of it, too.
What?
That is part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to take the picture in front of the brick
Yeah.
wall and say,
There's nothing. And this is the thing. People are always like, "That's fucking bullshit." It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with doing that because you're excited about an experience.
Sure.
But when you're 2 years, when it's 2 years later, that's still your profile picture, and you've done exactly you've gone on stage 4 more times.
Yeah.
Like, go fuck yourself.
But isn't there something wrong with that? Because it's taking stage time away from people that are trying to work on material. Granted, now there are more open mics in town.
Yeah.
You can hit 10, 12 mics in town.
I mean, I don't think anyone deserves any more stage time than anybody else.
Okay, fair. Yeah,
it's an
yeah.
open mic. Like those people who are really good, they'll get on shows. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I do go what you're saying that people do it for doing it for like sycophantic and like selfish reasons.
Sure.
But I mean, the whole act of stand-up's kind of
It's
selfish.
selfish and-
It's the most self-involved like fucking shit in the entire world. But I do kind of get what you're saying. The point also open mic too, I think it's also to let people dabble and try. And
Sure.
hopefully what you do is you expose more people to stand up. So they might not
True.
necessarily
Okay, yeah.
go out and do it, but they might see they'll be better audience members.
Yes. And
That's what you want.
And what you were saying with having to start and you were watching people, that's a big thing. And I know it was a big thing for me too, because seeing live comedy and seeing people work on their act is a lot different than watching a Netflix special, right? It's a lot
Yeah.
different than seeing something on TV. When you see a live performance of something, either you're triggered by it in the way that you want to do this more, or you're put off by it so much that you don't ever want to step on stage again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean absolutely. Like there was a comic in the city. I'm not going to name their name. There's nothing wrong. It's just for the sake of the story. I don't need to repeat their name. But they did stand up here for a while. They moved out. They moved out of the city. They moved to another side for a job with the state.
Right.
And they came back, and we knew the person came back. We're like, oh, we'll probably see him like open mic soon. And we heard like a rumor once or twice, and then like one morning I'm downtown. I'm doing something at KDKA, and he gets off a bus right in front of me, and I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
We'll call him Jerry.
Jerry
S.
Jerry
S.
That's how you beat
Okay.
it.
And I walk up to Jerry S. And I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" He's like, "Hey, how are you?" You know, we're talking and bullshit, and I'm like, "So how long have you been back in the city?" He's like, "Oh, like 8 months." And I'm like, "Oh, I haven't seen you." Know. He's like, "Oh yeah, well I quit comedy because it's awful."
Oh my god.
And I was like, "Oh really?" He's like, "Oh yeah, well, you know, when I started doing it, I realized it was hard. And the second I stopped doing it, I was so much more relieved
Oh, that's funny.
and I'm so much happier not doing it now. Like it's too late. I didn't like hang out with most of you.
Oh my God.
And like he's going like off and on. And he's not. He's just
Yeah,
one
he's
of those
being
guys.
yeah.
That he's just part of the reason I think he started doing stand up is because he's kind of an asshole.
That's kind of why a lot of people do it.
Yeah.
I feel like
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely people like, well, I have a severe personality flaw. Let's
that's an art form.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
itself.
yeah. Let's monetize it.
That's funny too, because Colin Chamberlain said it on his episode. It's like, I don't understand why people do comedy just as a hobby. It seems like something you have to do as a career, because at the end of the day, if you don't want to do, you don't have a finished product with this hobby. You may have jokes, maybe, but you don't have a sweater.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I see the hobby part did make sense to me. It's
Tell me
like
why.
if you're, yeah, I mean, I'm serious. Because if you really like it, but you know you're not that committed, I think you can have a medium level of commitment.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I feel like it's not. I know people. I mean, the thing is, he knows people that like do it that way. Like, there's older comics I've seen that it's never going to be their job.
Yeah.
Like, there's great comics that I know that like hobby is. I feel maybe it kind of diminishes what some of those people do. Like, it's hard for when you want to pursue it professionally not to call it a hobby for other people, but they'd maybe take it in a more like semi-casual approach.
Sure.
Like, of course,
Which there's not. I don't think there's anything wrong with that either.
Yeah.
That's maybe not what I'm saying,
Yeah.
but I'm saying it's with this type of hobby, it's you don't have any producible content at the end of it. Not content's the wrong word because we're in entertainment, but you don't have something to show for it.
a lot of the time, yeah. But I mean, hopefully, if you you can get tapes, or you can you get to go out and perform in the community, and hopefully your friends are able to see you and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I think you can build value, or like you can show it off in ways.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of changing my opinion on that, like in real time, because
Yeah.
you do develop confidence too.
Yeah.
It's been a big confidence thing for me over the last 2 years.
But I mean, I can also understand where Colin's saying, because I'm like, the amount of time I've put into this at this point, like if I didn't wasn't actually trying to like do it, I'm like, how the fuck did I try that hard?
Right.
Like,
Well,
I
you're
think- I think
full-time
it's
now,
different, though,
too.
because like Colin's like one of the better comics in the city. Like,
Yeah.
he takes it seriously. And maybe that's how he sees it, as they're not taking it as seriously or something along those lines. But I mean, I think you can have fun with it. There's lots of also life reasons. Like, it's
Right,
really
okay,
hard
yeah.
to transition out of a 6-figure job into a career where the starting salary is, well, you want to make $100 for 2 feature sets this weekend, huh? Oh, wow. That's not the going rate, but that's the rate I'm going to give you. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, the check bounced, so that's going to cost you $30, but you'll get the 70 back.
And you have to pay for your 2 drinks.
Yeah,
that
and you have to
got.
pay for your 2 drinks. Like, it's
Well, you're full time now too.
Yeah.
Do you think being you haven't been full time a while, but like, do you think being a full time comic makes you a better stand up? Do you think it matters?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, at least for me, like the first 2 times that like it ever happened. And by happen, I mean like I just got unemployed, and I was like, well, guess like,
I'm a
so like
full-time
right now,
comic.
me and my girlfriend Amanda, she calling herself a professional stand-up comic too, and that sounds like I'm diminishing her. No, but she lost her job. And she's like, well, that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm like, I know that's you can say that's fine. I'm not gonna fight you on the semantics of what is a real stand-up comic.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
But I'm just asking, do you think it develops more urgency in you? Because I work all on commission right now for my day job, and it's like if I don't actually sell stuff, I don't get paid. So whenever I don't sell stuff for a week or 2 at a time, and I see my bank account go down, I end up having really good weeks because I'm like, oh fuck, I need to make money. Do you think the urgency is what makes you a better stand-up?
I honestly, it's also the free time. It's not having the burden of a goddamn day job, like to actually like concentrate. This is the thing I told myself like when I quit, is that my day job, I was like, if I have to go get another damn day job, I'll go get another damn day job, and I'll try again.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what it comes down to, like, so be it.
Right.
I don't want to do that, but if it happens, it happens. I like my day job was very mentally exhausting. I was basically, the way my one friend one time put it, it's like you're basically selling your empathy for 8 hours.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
In the field that I worked in, and I liked the work. I didn't like the pay, and the hours were okay, but at the end of the day, I have a lot more mental capacity now. So I concentrate on stand up, work on booking things. I write every day again. Like, That's something I tried doing when I was at work. I would just be so exhausted
Yeah.
that it just became like too much of like a burden.
Yeah. You can devote more of the RAM of your brain to stand-up and
Yeah.
comedy. And that's big because I focus a lot of time on this job, and I feel it pulling me away from writing and actually thinking things that are funny. I mean, I get stressed with this job a lot too, so it's like that pulls me away from trying to be goofy and silly on a regular basis. So my mind goes to exactly what you said. If I have more time to think about what I want to say on stage, I feel like that would help me as a comic.
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely, like, it's made me feel a lot more relieved on stage. Like, at least I'm sitting on a pile of things I'm working on right now. Like, it also gives me opportunities to, like, try to also find other freelance jobs that aren't necessarily stand-up but, like, writing gigs and stuff like that. Hopefully I can use to help support myself.
Right.
Just try to build, like, a better portfolio. Like, I haven't, like, really concentrated on professional writing. Like, I do freelance stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I write all kinds of weird random shit.
Like because I've seen you could like post to like Cracked and stuff and get like $50
I've done stuff like
for it.
that. I've done like I wrote a thing with Pittsburgh Magazine. I write like a bunch of like weird little random like reviews of stuff.
Right.
I wrote a couple like freelance Dungeons and Dragons things, like this and that. But I mean, it's barely a portfolio. Like, and what I hope to do is, have something where I have a writing gig where I can travel around.
You're right.
And publish wherever I want or do the interviews or whatever.
Right.
And support my stand-up. Because I think that's the one thing I've learned from doing this for a while is that you can, sometimes you're just not going to have weekends or this or that. And if you need money, you need more than one tributary of money. I don't know.
Right.
That's the way we'll into your money
But-
river.
yeah,
'Cause
but
this is a weird
your
money,
money river.
in my money flow, cash flow.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's urgency to it, and like money is a good urgency thing especially with comedy. It's like, oh fuck, I don't have weekends coming up. I need the human brain. It's fight or flight. If you're like, oh, I don't have stuff going on this weekend, I need to make a career out of this.
Yeah.
I just think that whole thing's very fascinating. That's unprofessional, and I'm upset about it. I'm
Well,
just kidding.
I didn't know we were gonna walk in and record, so nah.
I'm just kidding. I swear. But you can also devote time to burning bridges too, which I imagine was a big project
Yeah.
to start.
I mean, yeah, that would definitely. That was part of what other factors is I wanted to quit my job because especially in the beginning, a lot of the burden fell on John.
Yeah.
We're transitioning, we're sharing more of it now. But the initial planning phase was both of us, but I was, the way my schedule was set up is I still had shows and different that, but I was working all the time during the day.
Right.
And I'd come home and I just wouldn't want to do anything.
Right.
So that was a big motivation too. With burning bridges, we're still at very much we're not really making a profit at all. Not that we're not even. That
It's a
isn't
business,
that isn't
though.
it is kind of. I keep trying to explain. It's hard to kind of explain, but basically the club Burning Bridges. We share basically. We take the space from Jeff.
Yes.
And we keep all the ticket sales, and he keeps all the bar sales right
Right.
now. Is that's the basic?
That seems fair, too.
And basically, what happens is we take all the money we get from certain things, and we just put it back into advertising.
Right.
Right now, we're just about to get our sponsors and everything, so that'll give us a lot more money. The goal being is we want to be able to pay out every single person that gets on stage something.
Right.
That hasn't always happened yet. That's the goal for the first 6 months is to get to a point where we can pay everyone all the time.
Yeah.
Because we want to make sure that we provide value for people's stage time.
Right. It's a club.
And if we keep at the rate that we're at, the last couple of shows, we were worried about New Year's, the shows right before New Year's, and the shows right after New Year's, which are the shows the last 2 weeks.
Right.
Dan Alton, Storthoff, and we had great crowds.
Yeah.
Every night, and we're starting to get to the place now with everything. This is the thing, I've ran comedy out of there for almost 7 years.
Yeah.
And there's a momentum behind it, in that I don't have to do a whole lot to get people to show up.
Right.
Sometimes I have to work harder than other times, but we got lucky. Lawrenceville became a popping neighborhood.
Right. Yeah.
We got an owner that likes comedy, which you never find.
Yeah, never find.
All of them treat it like it's fucking karaoke.
Yeah.
They don't care. And if you make, and the thing, they always bail the second you make one person mad.
Right. Well, that's it too.
Yeah.
And every bar owner in the city, it seems like it's kind of a nuisance that they're there. Not everyone, but like that's definitely
the
a thing.
point, they had that one mic over at the bar that Peduto went to,
Mm-hmm.
and like pretty much
Cabby's,
Peduto,
yeah.
And
I don't know if it's
thank you, I could not remember the name of it. And basically, that I'm pretty sure that ended because of Peduto.
Do you think so?
Well, I don't think he was like.
Why though?
I've got you now, come. It's not like that.
He seems like the guy who would be into that sort of thing. That's
I think to an extent, but if it's your drinking hole, and you don't want every single person for 2 hours trying to talk directly to you when you're already the mayor of a city, when there's like hundreds of thousands of people trying to yell at you all the fucking time.
I'm shaking my head violently.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand.
Like that makes sense to me. I bet you he didn't say a damn thing. I bet he might have seemed a little annoyed and he would just leave. And they're like, we got to keep the mayor.
Yeah.
We got to keep the mayor happy. I don't know. If I had a bar where the mayor went to all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I will say
He
this. I really
owns the
like
bar.
Peduto. And this is not me talking crap on him.
Sure, I as well.
I was friends with Peduto before he was a councilman.
Oh, is that true? Oh, that's
not
fun.
like it was like
You had
yo,
his phone
Peduce,
number.
what's going on? He's like, yo, Minty Fresh. It wasn't like that. Anything. But no, like I met him before. Like I was involved with like city politics, like a little. And by involved, I mean like I just did like campaigning stuff,
Right.
When I was in college and after college, and so like I just met him. Like he was a very active in the community. Like before that, that's why it was like exciting to get him as the mayor because it was like, oh great, we don't have a rich asshole.
Yeah.
Again.
You have a nice person in politics
Who actually gives a shit about the city.
It really seems like he does too. Yeah, but I understand what you're saying. If that's like a spot that you want to hang out and not be bothered by anybody, what's worse than 40 comics in 2 hours looking directly at you telling dick jokes?
Yeah, like it's just if you, you know, and it's also I didn't think I liked the bar, but I never thought it was. I kind of knew that Mike was doomed a little bit, like just that neighborhood and like everything else. It seemed like something that should be more like down the street at like that other sports bar. I can't remember the name of.
I don't know.
I don't want to say Selkies. Whatever it is.
No idea.
But anyway, we got lucky with Jeff. Jeff having the owner, and like that neighborhood just transforming. Like when I used to tell people that I had an open mic in Lawrenceville when I first started, they're like,
"You're gonna die. You're gonna die, you fat son of a bitch."
And I'm like, Mom, you can't. Why are you whispering this in my ear? Like my parents really freaked out. Like the first.
Is
time
that true?
Well, because Lawrenceville used to be a really not great neighborhood.
But I don't even know when that kind of gentrification happened.
It's about the last 10 years.
Is it?
Like,
Okay.
but it's much slower. Like the South, like so certain neighborhoods like kind of revived earlier. Like the South Side became more popular because it became a bar district.
Sure.
So it kind of blew up in popularity before that, and so it was eventually that kind of artistic culture, everything else kind of spreads out different places.
Right.
And Lawrence was going on for about 10 years. It started changing.
But it seems like just Pittsburgh in general is that way anymore. It just seems like it's booming in the last 10, 15 years. To me, it seems like that. So when something like Burning Bridges comes about, it almost seems essential that that club exists in terms of being the first independent comedy club. What do you think a comedy club like that does for the city?
I mean, I think one, it proves. Like you pointed to this trend in the city. It's definitely true. Like there's definitely been a dramatic arts shift in the city. Again, maybe there used to be this way.
I have no idea. Yeah,
but people are now they're like, oh wow, there's other. We can do something else other than watch a sports game.
Right.
Sports are ubiquitous in the city. There's always some kind of sporting thing going on every couple of days. But now people are. It's easier to find things.
Right.
Like that's the thing. You could go online. You can go click on something and you can find information. It's way easier. If you want to look up stand-up comedy shows, it's easy. Most people 10 years ago had no idea that there was even a comedy scene in the city.
Yeah, I bet.
And why would they? Like, there was a couple shows a month. You'd invite people. It was treated like magic. It was like, ooh.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good point. It was just treated like a novelty.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's, even in the 2 years I've been doing it, it seems like there's you're right, more of a momentum shift towards, hey, this is an art form that we can actually go check out on the weekend and go on a date and enjoy that.
Yeah, like you can go out and like this thing. And so that shift, I think, really helped form what we're doing, because we didn't want to just make another like a small version of the improv. We wanted to we wanted to do something different. We wanted to showcase different kinds of talent, people who don't want to work at the improv. We wanted to have something that's independent.
Yeah.
We wanted artisanal comedy is what we wanted. Old 1800s stand-up comedy.
What do you mean by that?
I'm kidding. I'm completely kidding.
I know.
I'm making fun of the whole artisanal thing. Craft movement. No, what we really it is jokingly true.
Isn't it kind of that though? I mean, if you look at somewhere like the Improv, it has a branding that kind of people know, right? Doesn't that kind of place have almost? Don't they kind of put themselves in a bubble on who they can actually bring on? Burning Bridges can bring on anybody that they want to.
No, you're
and that's
absolutely
exciting.
Right. So this is the thing. There's nothing wrong with the Improv. If the Improv called me tomorrow and they wanted me to work there again,
Sure.
I would gladly go.
Right.
Because it's money and I like it. Actually, I hate money, but I will take it because I know I have to use it and it's stuff.
Right.
But the Improv is, it's a corporate entity.
Yes.
Like
that's what I'm saying.
For years, the Pittsburgh Improv was very much ran like an Applebee's. Like an Applebee's with comedy. Like, and that's the truth of the matter. They didn't really give a shit about the Improv didn't care about the scene because they didn't have to care about the scene.
Sure. Okay.
Because there was no competition.
Fair.
The Funny Bone shut down, and they were comedy.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to work, and everyone still does want to work there to an extent. Like I said, I'd work there. It's it's a AAA club. You get to work with national headliners. You get to meet a lot of people. And the rooms got recently redone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a good opportunity overall. But they really don't. That's the one thing, they don't have to encourage a community. That's pretty much how the whole Pittsburgh scene restarted. Is because you only had this one club, and it's like, well, only 2 people can work here a weekend.
Yeah.
So the more and more comics showed up, it's like, all right, so you start developing more and more open mics, and then what happened? There was other people who were like, well, I'm interested in improv. I want to do this, or I want to do that. So then, you got the Steel City Improv Theater. Then you got your Arcade Comedy Theater. Then you got Unplanned Comedy Warehouse,
Yeah.
all these places that kept growing. And a lot of it, I felt like, was in reaction to the improv.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's like the Burger King moving in next to a McDonald's. When a Burger King moves in next to a McDonald's, that McDonald's business skyrockets because there's just more in the area. There's more fast food in the area. When you look at comedy and something like Burning Bridges coming up, that seems like it just helps the entire comedy scene. It helps the improv. It helps arcade. It helps Unplanned.
And we also, we're super clear, just because we're punk rock comics, it's like not that. It's just, if the improv everyone to have a partner, we're not categorically against it.
I
That's
dumb.
that. That's not
and I'm not saying you are either.
Yeah. No, I'm not even trying to insinuate that you are. I'm just more stating that point because some people were like, yeah, you guys are here to stick it to the improv. I'm like, not exactly. It's not like that.
Right.
Where I'm every day, I have a shrine where I carve another notch into the shrine for the improv that I will someday destroy. It's not like that or anything.
Yeah, the logo in a dartboard in your room.
Yeah.
And you what do you think the goal of Burning Bridges is? Correct me. This is what I think it is, and I want you to correct me. I think a lot of it is wanting to actually help local comics in the scene get better. I think the end goal is making money and making it a successful club. Go ahead.
Here's the correct. Or you keep going if you have.
But I look at it as a couple weeks ago, John Dick Winters gave all of the open mic comics on the Monday nights notes and stuff that really helped me out. He was just you're not writing punchlines. I'm like, God damn it, you're exactly right. I have okay concepts, but nothing is translating to actual jokes, and that's been a big focus for me now. I think that goes to my idea of that club is helping local comics get really good, thus helping the entire scene.
So I would say both. The only correction I would say to what you really said is it's both local and national.
Okay.
But yes. That's the reason we the open mic. I've always had a perspective about open mics that the point of it is I'm not there to adjudicate whether people should do comedy or not. That's not my job.
Right.
But what I can do is I can encourage you to a certain extent. and I can provide you stage time,
Right.
free, which you have to develop your own way of doing.
Right.
I feel like one of the most important parts of stand-up, or really anything for me, is like self-development and self-actualization. Is like being able to understand yourself and see yourself on stage and have a self-awareness.
Right.
And I feel like that's how you really grow as a stand-up. Like that's it. That's a fundamental part of it. Like you can take as many fucking stand-up classes as you want, and they might help you out a little bit. I don't know anybody who has a Comedy Central special took a goddamn stand-up comedy class.
Right.
That doesn't mean that's not. I'm sure like
It exists.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
What?
I understand.
What,
It
did you-
exists. Yeah. Somebody took a class and got a special.
I'm sure. Yeah, but we don't know who, and hopefully I'm super right about this. The point being is you don't have to.
Yeah.
And usually I find the people who are more inclined not to take a class, I understand getting a class or taking a class. I'm not saying you're wrong for taking it, but I feel like people who go find out and endeavor on their own, who have that more individualistic drive,
Yeah.
usually do better in stand-up.
Yeah.
Because they can figure it, they can take the time and think through things on their own. They can learn independently. And that's just not for some people.
Yeah, that's how I figured it out. I didn't know classes existed until I started doing stand-up.
There was no such thing when I started doing stand-up. I
None?
thought, yeah, I mean, when I started doing stand-up,
I guess so, yeah.
yeah, there was no one was giving stand-up classes.
Arcade didn't come around until...
No, arcade didn't start until like I was doing stand-up for like 4 years.
Oh, okay.
So,
I guess that makes sense. Yeah,
like
yeah.
I did the second opening weekend of the arcade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know
right.
that.
Yeah, that's how long the improv. And the Steel City Improv Theater existed before that. Like,
Okay. Because Steel City's been around a while.
but only a year and a half before the arcade.
Oh,
When I started
okay.
doing stand-up, there was no official improv other than the Thursday night show at the Cabaret
Oh, wow.
that they had every Thursday, which has been going on forever, which is a great show.
But that goes back to what we're saying. This scene has developed significantly in the time
But this is the thing. Like, if you talk to the old-timey dudes, like, there used to be a huge scene here
Yeah.
at one point. Like, in the 90s, like, there was a crazy scene
Really?
here. Like, if you, like, there's an old comic that used to, I love calling him old. Matt, if you're listening to this, you're super old. Matt Wolfharth.
Matt Wolfhard?
Wolfharth.
Wolfharth.
He was an older comic. He used to go by Buzz Nutley. He'd been doing stand-up since, like, late 80s, early 90s.
Wow.
And he has, so this is the thing that's really interesting. He used to have the trade publication. It was like Punchline or whatever it was. It was a comedy news. It was a stand-up comedy newspaper.
Oh, wow.
And what was really interesting is, you know, it had articles and different stuff and like talked about different shows that are going on throughout the country. And then when it had a listing of all the clubs, like dates for the month and who was on what show.
Interesting, yeah.
But like, it's so crazy. Like to see the people that were in Pittsburgh, like one night it's like Jim Carrey. And then you see like the two other names behind it. And it's like Augie Wilson and like Chris Ciardi. And these,
Wow.
like those two names don't mean anything to
Yeah,
you.
nothing.
But those are two older comics that I know.
Wow.
Like that existed in this scene. Like and the thing that's really interesting, that's how you used to also find out. That's how you find a club information. Like you have all
Right.
the club information so you know where to send your
That was the
VHS.
way you got it in
Where
the
you
90s.
sent your
That's so
VHSs.
fun.
But like that's how you did it because there was no internet.
Yeah.
Like, but also like it was just, you know, a completely different time for comedy. Like there was a time in where every place had comedy. Like bowling alleys had comedy all the time
Interesting.
because it was just a completely different time. Like any asshole could go up and make money doing stand-up.
But was it still a novelty? Is it
No,
still
that was when like stand-up was like crazy.
an art? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's yeah. I mean, it was just treated. It was treated, you know, like a legitimate form of
A
entertainment.
thing.
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting to me because then I think of it as okay, mid 2000s internet presence in comedy. Does that initially help comedy or does that hurt comedy?
Oh, it definitely helped for sure because people were able to find, like, you were able to type into a thing like comedy open mics. It wasn't like a scavenger hunt.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
Or like some weird quest you went on, like go down to this bar, meet this man, and then once you see the three crows, turn left southerly. You know, it's not. It was hard. I mean, when I wanted to do it, I didn't even know you were supposed to do open mics.
Right.
The only reason the first time I got on, so this is the thing, I did stand up in high school twice.
Oh, that's fun.
And then I quit.
You told me that. Yeah.
And I don't just say quit. I went to college and I found out about drugs and alcohol and women, and I forgot about it for a while. I didn't always love comedy. Like I always loved it. And wasn't sure. I got out of college. I wasn't sure what I would do. I lost both these jobs right away that I never got with the newspaper, and I was really upset. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck to do, and really struggling. And I kind of like secretly went to the Funny Bone and the Improv like twice.
Oh, you didn't tell friends or?
I didn't tell anybody.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't know if I wanted to do it. I watched one, and then like I did one at the Funny Bone and two at the Improv. And then I sat around and talked with people and this and that, and and I wasn't really sure what to do like after that because I didn't really like my experiences. And my one buddy, like one night, he's like, "Hey, there's an open mic at this bar we go to all the time. Let's go do it." And I'm like, "Okay." And like I'm kind of freaking out about the whole thing. But like I would have never known that. Like there was no way, like even then, for me to know that on the internet. Like now, I could type in Pittsburgh comedy open mics, and on Facebook there's a listing, and people will answer you immediately.
Exactly.
Like
right.
And there's usually a couple of people. There's usually like 2 or 3 people a week who are like, "I don't know how this open mic's working." It's just like, well, you don't know how to read. That's
the whole
why you
thing
illiterate
says
idiot.
check pin post.
Yeah.
I can't stand that.
Yeah, but that's a whole other thing.
Right. But yeah, it is a community. Like even on that Facebook page, it feels like a real community of people who want to get better.
But people will answer your questions like immediately, and like they'll tell you. Like,
yeah, it's part of it.
I didn't know there was any people like when I first started.
Right.
Like I knew like of a couple stand-ups. I knew there was stand-up in the city somewhere because I knew 1 or 2 people who did it.
Right.
But like people even asked me, they're like, "You know where to find stand-up?" I'm like, "Oh, I have no idea." But yeah, I don't know where we were before.
I don't know where we were either. I should write stuff down, but I don't.
That's cool, man. I don't care.
Questions.
I'm not writing anything down.
What do you think the most valuable lesson that you have? What is the most valuable lesson you've learned about hosting? I'm really curious about that.
You're part of the audience too.
Oh, that's fun.
Like you are, like you,
yeah.
you are the liaison from the show to the audience. Like you're this panel that exists in between them. Like you're like the screen on your TV. Like you are the fourth wall.
Right.
You are.
Yeah.
And like the thing is you have to be both. Like you have to be both funny, or you're supposed to be funny. But that's not the most important part of it. Like it really isn't.
Right.
Like, you provide structure. Because it's insane if you think of really about what the hell a stand-up comedy show is. So we're going to get like 50 people. We're going to put them in a room. We're going to liquor them up. We're going to food them up. Then some guy's going to get up there and just start talking into a microphone. And then they're going to bring up 4 or 5 other people. They know.
Their opinions.
Yeah. Not even that. Just talking about stuff. And people are gonna love it. Like, think how little that is.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
When you really
if I think about it too hard, I can't do it. If I think about what I'm doing on stage, it freaks me out.
It dawned on me when a musician said, he's like, "Man, I don't understand how you could get up there and not go up there with anything." And I'm like, "I don't understand how you could get up there with anything. What are you talking about? Like, I don't want to screw up my guitar. Like, what if I did that? Like,
you have to rely on an instrument. You're relying on your voice, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and how you sell what you do. So you have to realize that you have to build. You are responsible for making it seem like it's a show.
Yeah.
And there's a balance between being self-deprecating and being honest with the audience, and like going too far and shitting too much in the show. Like it's okay. Like, but you have to remember that like you're responsible for but you should share part of the perspective with the audience.
Yeah.
Like so, if something crazy happens in between. Like acts, or someone says something insane, like racist, or something crazy happens. Not that it happens ever a lot on shows, but things happen.
It happens, yeah.
Your job is to wrangle everything together.
You are the fourth wall.
Yeah. Like you help kind of like build their perspective, like enforce their perspective, but like also at the beginning of the show, like it's really important that like you set expectations. Like you tell them what the show's gonna be. Like you take a minute or 2 and you talk to them, and you don't. If you can be funny doing it, it's great. But guess what? If you aren't, it's fine. Like people, and it's so hard. I get why stand-ups want to just get up there and they just want to tell jokes. I get it. Like it's what I did for years. And someone like pointed out, like, I can't remember what, it was Chuck Krieger. Chuck Krieger told me this. He's like, when you get up there, just go talk to him. You don't, if you're funny about it, that's great. If you're not and you just talk to them, they'll get used to the idea of listening, and they will sit there. Which is why I hate saying this one thing, but I do it because I know it works. Which is, give yourself a round of applause for whatever, blah blah blah.
Yes.
Blah. And I hate it. It's a boring trope. But the reason I do it, and I don't care if people don't do it, is it makes them like, all right, this is the game, or this is not the game, but this is the system. Sometimes I'm going to ask you to do things. You need to do them. Let's try it. Ready?
Yes.
Clap, clap, clap,
Yes.
clap, clap. And the easiest thing to do is like, who does everyone at least hopefully like a little bit? Themselves.
Seneca gave me that advice. You have to remind them, A, that they're at a comedy show and they can laugh, and B, that you give them permission to do those things. You give them permission to clap, permission to laugh. And that's something I didn't realize the first time I hosted. And that takes a while to get to. But you're right. You have to do, wrong word, but hacky things like that to get them to do what you want them to do.
Things that when you see them for a while, you think they're hacky, but you really like. Hacky. I know what you mean. What you're saying.
Yes.
Like, I don't have another better word for it either, though.
Yeah.
But like, this is the thing. I know it works.
Right.
And I don't care what you. This is the thing. That's the other thing you have to really learn how is. Sometimes you really have to ignore what the fucking comics think.
Yeah.
Because they're dumb. They're very dumb people. And as a group, they're a bunch of mean, angry idiots. They are. They're very dumb. They all act super smart, but they're just as. And this is the thing. All comics want to be individuals, and they hate when they get herded into groups because it's all about their individualism when they're on stage.
That.
So but they don't realize how they're just as dumb as everybody else when they're in this angry mob.
So
like it's super dumb. Like
right.
And yeah, no. So you have to sometimes ignore the comics. I've gotten so much bad advice or like things like give me this note, and I'm like, that's a dumb. I'm not listening to you. Like, that's an awful note. Like, I mean, audience members like notes now, or like when they give me suggestions, are just like so outlandishly dumb that it's just like, well, you just don't know.
What?
Like, I'm not mad at you, but I'm like, you've been doing stand up too long to say something this dumb to me. Like, But I mean, hosting is one of those things that some comics struggle with, for sure. It does take a certain amount of charisma.
Yeah.
Or I don't even want to necessarily. You can see, this is the thing. I really try to tell everybody that anyone could host if you can separate your act from the hosty part of it. Like, I host the stand up that I do for when I host is different than what I do for my act.
And it should be. Yeah, I get that.
Like, and what I do if I have to open for 20 minutes is different than what I do during a feature set. Like, my characterization changes, like, because hosting, you have to be able to drive home a certain amount of things. When I host, I try to go a couple different directions with my jokes, and then I try to, like, I want to hit like pressure points, but I want to see if they like something dirty. I want to see if they like something more intellectual.
Right.
Hopefully, so if you watch me host, and this doesn't work out at open mic sometimes. Sometimes I need to go up and try something new.
Sure. And
I'm bored. That happens too. I'm not trying to say I do this all the time, but like I do try for like certain shows, especially try to do a variety of things. So if the comics watch, they know like, oh, maybe these kind of jokes resonate more with them.
Right.
And I can adjust my set. Because that's the other thing, too. You're the litmus test for the rest of the comics. Though sometimes you will do a show and you will host, and the audience will hate you, and they will love all the comics, which is fine.
I've seen that, too.
I call it...
I've been a part of that.
I call it spite hosting.
Spite hosting.
It's when the audience hates you, but they like the comics despite you, which I love. Like, that's the best.
I like that, too.
This is the thing. I try to be a good boy. But I like sometimes it's really fucking fun to just be a total bastard to the audience. Like, it's so much fun. The best example, and thank God I barely ever have to do this anymore. I used to do this all the time. Is I used to do, like, when I used to host like fire hall shows, I used to do fucking raffles.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And like, this is like the last time I haven't done a raffle like a year. And I did David K show where I had to do like 55 raffles.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was insane. I got paid well.
You had to have.
And I later found out I got paid just as much as the feature. I was like, all right, well, that's fine then. I should have for the amount of horse shit I had to put up with. But I would just be a bastard. I
Yeah.
would call everyone losers.
Oh, that's so fun.
Because the thing, only one person can win, and then the audience gets mad at you. And that's why I realized they want you to do it, because they don't want the audience to be mad at them. They want to pay somebody.
Right.
And I'm like, well, if you want to pay me money,
You
and
are
people
the
yell at me, I'll
guinea
yell
pig, yeah.
right back at them. And it's way more fun. But, like, you can have fun with shows like in that way too. Like if the audience doesn't like you, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, fine. Like then let's be that way. And then oftentimes if you do that and you own it, like it brings them around.
Yeah. I love it, dude. I love it. Well, we're at 50. So let's wrap up.
All right.
This goes quick,
So
man.
just what another 50? This
is a 4 hour. This is like a Joe Rogan podcast,
This
man.
is the giant bomb podcast of comedy.
No, I've realized nobody wants to listen past an hour.
Yeah, hour's
it's just,
pretty long.
Hour's fine.
Yeah, hour's fine.
So this is the last question I have for you. I ask every guest this. So
Yeah.
I started dating a girl named Monica earlier last year. Her friends asked me this question kind of as like a litmus test to how is Nate, is he the right fit? And I got the right answer. So I'm going to ask you this question.
So this is whether or not
This
you
is
can
whether
bang
you
me?
and I are dating.
Okay, well, the rest we're going to bang it
Don't
out.
tell Amanda. So Derek, you're at a bar.
Okay.
The night is going bad.
Yeah. Why bad? What's bad about it?
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Bartender has poisoned multiple people's drinks. There's quicksand in the bathroom, has swallowed up 4 or 5 Asian people. It is a bad night. It just happens
Do
to
they
be.
have to be Asian?
Just happens to be.
Okay.
But it is also karaoke night, and it is your job, Derek Minto, to save the entire night. What song are you singing?
Oh my God! I
love it. I love it.
Oh man,
I don't care what you say. I just want to know why.
Oh, I know what it is. I would sing Inagata Davida because it's 15 minutes long. And it would get everyone to clear out of the bar so no one would drink poison shots or get trapped in Inagata Davida, baby. Don't you know that I'm coming to?
That's the first time I've gotten an answer that gets people out of the bar. Every answer has
there's
been, let's
poison.
keep people in the bar.
But they're going to drink more poison.
Well, they want to save the night.
You saved the night by making sure no one died. You be Batman, not the fucking guy who's like, let's all die.
There has to be a song that keeps people in the bar. That saves the whole night.
Well, I disagree. I saving the night to me.
No, but I'm saying I like your answer.
okay.
You're putting people
I thought
out
you were
of
fighting with me.
danger.
Yeah. That's my response. You be Batman, motherfucker. Or yeah, I mean literally what Batman does at the beginning of Batman. Well, the beginning, but in Batman Begins, where he kicks everyone out.
Yeah.
He acts like a drunk asshole to get everyone out of his house so he can get a fire log dropped on him.
Yeah.
And then Alfred can be mean to him. What's the point of all these fucking push-ups if you can't lift a bloody fucking log? And he's like, God damn it! All those green smoothies were right, you know. So
I love it, man. Do you have anything you want to promote?
you can check me out at www.derekminto.com
It's
or
an easy one.
Burning Bridges Comedy Club, Burning Bridges Festival, which is going to be the 3rd weekend, maybe the 4th weekend in March. I can't remember off the top of my head. You can check that out. My comedy partner, John Dick Winters, he's great too. Also the social medias. But yeah, please come down to Burning Bridges Fridays or Saturdays and Sundays and Mondays and Thursdays and all the days. It was comedies. So
And if you want to submit to the festival, you can't.
You
it's
can't.
closed. I got mine in literally the last 2 minutes that it was available.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
There you go. So you get to sign us off. You get to say anything you'd like. I've had people insult me. Phil Forrence in the 3rd episode said fish sticks, eat them. Joe Marchi said something funny. Pages was so good, and I can't remember. People have said inspirational
Wasn't that
things.
good?
People have said offensive things. You could say whatever you'd like.
Oh man. What should
It's your one time to shine over the last hour.
Let's see. I will recite a Lewis Carroll poem. 'Twas brilling in the brathy toad, the gyre and the gimble in the wable, mimsy were the borogoves, the momorass elk crave. Beware the jabberwock, my son, beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws to bite, the closet clutch. Damn it, I can't remember the rest of it.
Oh, fuck. I was gonna.
Anyway,
use that.
he took his vorpal sword in hand, long time to manx his foe he sought, and so he rested in the tum-tum tree and stood a while in thought. And as an umpish thought he should, the Jabberwock with eyes of claim came burbling through the toll he would and purpled as it came. When 2 and 2 his vorpal blade went snicker-snack, and with its head he left it dead and went galumping back. O Frabish day Kaloo he choiled and destroy. Blah, 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 something else. It was whirling in the growler toad, the gyre and the gimble in the way, mims who were the Boroghosts, the morass outgrape. I missed a couple parts, but that's basically Jabberwocky.
It's like in the top 47 I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Close.
Thanks.
I'm
Thanks.
just kidding. That was great.
Thank you.
That was great. Thanks.
I thought you were going to say the top 47 versions of the song Jabberwock. I was like, it's not even a song. It's, not even, it's a dance group, but that's a whole other thing.
I would die for you, would you die for me? Oh, oh, oh. I would try for you.